Hello guys, this is my first What If back. The first question was from Ron Buddha, and first come first serve. It's what if Paul Heyman came to TNA? I think this is an interesting question. It's unlikely, but interesting, and I think Heyman may not have what made him so great. May not have the capacity to take TNA to the extent as far as he could with ECW. But I think he still has enough left in him to really accentuate the positives of TNA and hide the negatives. Where right now they don't really know what. I don't think anybody in TNA is aware of what their negatives are and what their positives are. And see, Paul Heyman was always good at that, and that's why he was such a good booker and you know, whatever. You'd probably see, and for Heyman to come in, you'd probably see Russo go. And Cornette, I don't know what would happen with him because he's not in creative, he's just an on-screen character. I think he may just get replaced with Heyman, and maybe just bump down into assistant creative. But it doesn't matter because we're talking about Heyman here, and if he was in charge of TNA, and this is basically how I'm interpreting the question because it is pretty broad. The first episode you would see Heyman come out and cut a promo where he'd break kayfabe, not to the extent where he'd start naming names and saying, you know, dropping names, because I think even he's aware that you do have to distance yourself from other companies. But it would be more of a promo on what's been wrong with TNA and what's going to change. Now, if he came in, and I'm basing this video off of things he said. He's criticised TNA for not pushing the TNA homegrowns to an extent. I don't like using the name homegrown because they weren't trained in TNA. They came from somewhere else, but at least they're unique to TNA because they haven't been in the WWE. They haven't been on TV in the US before, or at least made mainstream television like guys in TNA are. And he was criticising TNA for not having that unique feeling, and what that means is whenever they have the chance, they try to get guys in from the WWE. Angle, Booker, Cage. Cage to a lesser extent because they really did something with him and sort of turned him into their own, or at least I feel anyway. And you know, they're trying to get Lashley or Angle and whatever, Booker trying to get Lashley and the Dudley Boys, and you have a whole bunch of old WWE guys, and everybody's complained about these has-beens. Well, I don't like using the word has-beens, but that's what people call them, and I'm just using it in that context. But Heyman has said, and obviously realizes the same thing that I think, is that you need to make TNA successful, you really need to give something to the fans that they haven't seen before. When you see Kurt Angle, you think of WWE. When you see Booker T, you think of 5-time WCW champion. And you don't want people to think WCW or WWE or ECW with the Dudley Boys or Team 3D, whatever. You want them to think TNA, and this is a unique product. And I think that's really what they're missing to an extent. Like Samoa Joe, when he won the TNA title, that's something that should have happened a long time ago because he really should represent TNA. He should be their top guy. Buy rates, at least in the past, maybe not so much now, have sort of been on Samoa Joe's side. And, they are high when he's in pay-per-views because, there is just as much buzz. I mean, when I've heard, or not heard, but I'd heard of TNA for ages. I never really paid attention to them because it's really hard in Australia to do so. But one of the first things when you'd speak to someone about TNA, first thing you'd hear is AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, X Division. It was pretty much those three things. I think Heyman realizes, or coming into a creative position, realize that you have to push these guys or these things that make TNA better than WWE, or things that they can do better than the WWE over them. WWE can't do the X Division. It's they never will be able to. I don't think they just, even their cruiserweight division, it was always just a WWE style match with a bunch of smaller guys and a little bit faster paced. That's all it ever was. That's all it ever was going to be. We saw Rey Mysterio go from being all good and all that shit to punching people around the ring, and Heyman realizes that WWE really doesn't have, to an extent, doesn't have the talent and doesn't have the kind of mindset to make that work. TNA's made the X Division work in the past, and now it's become a shadow of what it used to be. And so Heyman coming in would really push the X Division because he knows it's something unique that nobody else can do, except for maybe ROH. But it's not called the X Division there. It's just whatever. But he would really push that hard, or at least push those wrestlers hard. You would see unique teams to TNA, like the Moxie Machine Guns, LAX, blah blah blah, Rock and Raven Infection get pushed over guys like the Dudley Boys and guys who've been in the WWE. And I think that would happen with pretty much all around. You would see a greater influence of the TNA homegrown, and you would see guys like Kurt Angle and Booker T and the Dudley Boys, and guys who've been in the WWE before, like Rhino and shit like that, not get jobbed out, but be used to give the younger guys, the guys without as much name value, the guys without without that name value, more of a go, a chance to show these guys, or show the United States what they can do, give them a fair shake, and really show why TNA is different, why, what makes AJ different from a guy like Kurt Angle or whoever, and really give the TNA homegrown give them the ball and let them run with it, and that's really what TNA really. I've said this for a while. That's really what they need to do, because yes, you can bring him in Kurt Angle, and yes, he's one of the top 5 guys in wrestling today or whatever. But the problem is he doesn't represent TNA. He represents WWE. He was there for 6 years before he showed up in TNA, and as much as I like him, when I see him, I think WWE, and I should be thinking TNA when I watch TNA. And you would see a lot more, and the Knockouts division would get pushed a bit harder as well. And that's one of the things they are doing. They do really push the Knockouts, and that's really what they need to do, because that's one of my favorite things about TNA. It's the Knockouts, and one of the things I used to like about it was the X division. So you would see Knockouts in the X division and the tag division get pushed more, and the guys from other companies who made their names in other companies really get used to help the younger talent without the name value along. It's like I asked someone once, what would you rather see? Would you rather see someone you've seen in another company before again for another couple of years, just in a new company, or would you rather see someone new that you haven't seen before, who you don't know anything about him, but at least you haven't seen him before, over someone you do know and you do like, but you've already seen him for 6 years? And he said, I'd probably choose the guy I haven't seen before, because there's just as much chance I'd like him. And this was on a forum, because he was debating why he's not going to watch ROH because he doesn't know any of the guys. And that's why you really need to use guys like Kurt Angle and the established stars to and Sting to help these guys along and help give them name value, so people know who they are, and they haven't been in the WWE before, so they are special, they are unique to TNA, and there is a reason to turn on. Another thing you'd probably see would be my phone. It's doing stuff. Sorry about that. I got a bit distracted. You would see. What am I trying to say? You'd see less gimmick matches. Sorry about that. I was a bit of brain freeze. You would see less gimmick matches, but the ones you would see would be more appropriately used. And you wouldn't see as many pole matches, basically, and others, extremely retarded gimmicks. And that would be another good thing. I mean, Easter pretty much always was a gimmick match with the hardcore, but it really became the stock standard. And then when they did do another match, it was really to blow off the feud, and I think that's what they failed to do. It's not really something hard to do, but they have trouble with it. I think WWE are going a bit overboard with gimmick matches as well, but not to the extent TNA is. And I think Heyman really focused TNA like a laser, because he knows what would work for them and knows what wouldn't, and knows what's going to make them successful and knows what isn't. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I don't expect you to agree with this, but hopefully some of you will. Thanks, bye.